Okay, listener question time. Thank you so much, everybody. We had loads of questions suggested on our Facebook page last week, didn't we? Every time that there's a listener questions coming up, and I know that the document that I got with all the old questions in is running a bit dry. I always get nervous that I'm going to ask for any suggestions for questions and nobody's going to think of anything. But we had one of our biggest onslaughts of listener questions yet, and we've got plenty to keep us going for a little while. But we've picked two to go for this week, and I don't think we're going to have massive discussion about them. We've already spent enough time on Street Talk, but this very first question is topical at the moment, shall we say. So Gemma, do you want to read out our first question this week?
Navdeep asked us, which past or present Corrie character is best suited to become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom?
Because, I think there's probably a fair few people. There might be a job up, and I think there might be some people that might be doing a bit that could do a better job
of the
hash job that Boris Johnson's making of it at the moment.
Well, you came out and said it. Wow. I thought he was getting around it.
Nah.
There must be somebody who thinks he's doing all right.
He probably thinks he's doing a good job. To be honest, I don't know about politics, and I'm going to say right here and now. I mean, I know it's bad to admit this sort of thing, and it's probably not a surprise.
Politics affects every single part of everything that you do.
I know.
As an employee of the local government, it affects your wages. It affects your pension. Oh,
I'm sorry. I know it's important, but I don't particularly follow political things.
Listen, there's a difference between not engaging politically because you find it draining, depressing and bad for your mental health, which I'm sure a lot of people would say at the moment in this country and in other countries too. That is the case. But saying it's boring and you can't be bothered, I think you should be ashamed of yourself.
I know I am. I'm just telling you that that's the way it is.
Well, you make no effort to change.
No. So, characters...
One thing I will say that we always vote.
We do definitely always vote. Yeah, I just don't watch the news.
But you don't know who you're voting for.
I do. I just vote for who you tell me to.
I never tell you who to vote for.
You don't.
You ask me who I'm voting for, then you copy me. I say, excuse me, sir, he's copying me again. You're not supposed to copy each other and get kicked out.
Right, so obviously Corrie's had a bit of a history with politics anyway, so I think if we're looking at potential prime ministers, we need to look at the past... councillors and everything that Weatherfield's had, and number one we've got Alf, who's a councillor, an independent councillor way back from the very very early days of Coronation Street.
Aren't most of these people independents?
Yeah, I think
because
they are.
I think that rightfully so Coronation Street is very tactfully avoiding picking a side, because we might not know which logos the primary parties in this country have, but we certainly do know that there are a few of them, and Labour, Liberal Democrat and Tory and Conservatives, and in general, you pick a side and you stick to it.
Yeah.
Not that's not going to be the case for very much longer, is all I can say.
So Alf was he's been councillor for many years. He's been Weatherfield mayor. He's got an OBE. So I think out of all the characters on Coronation Street, he's got the best political background.
I want an OBE. What is it?
Queen gives you a prize.
The Queen's never... I'm going to have to face the fact that the Queen's never going to give me a prize.
You never know what's around the corner.
She'll be dead before I do anything good.
We've had...
life.
Len Fairclough was a councillor in the 60s and 70s, but he was arrested after he got... he was caught drunk and disorderly behaviour, so I don't know whether you can really become a prime minister if you've been arrested for things like that.
What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, as long as you do it at a private boffo club.
Deirdre was a councillor in 1987. She would beat Alf in the votes, although she ended up losing her seat to Alf in the end. We had Audrey, who stood against Spider and became a councillor in 1998, and she became mayor in 2000 for a little bit. Curly was a councillor in the late 90s, early 2000s as well, I think. And then obviously we've had Sally recently as a mayor. So those are our kind of main political links that we've had so far in Coronation Street. When it comes to Prime Minister, though, I was wondering what
your naive list of what makes a good Prime Minister, please tell me.
I was trying to think what makes a good Prime Minister, and I did have a little bit of look online.
This is the children's TV show version of what makes a good Prime Minister.
No, because I also did a bit of research and I googled what makes a good Prime Minister, and I kind of copied some of what they said.
Go on, say.
But I agree with some of this. I think inspirational, kind of public figure head, somebody who can, people can rally round is quite important. I'm kind of thinking, my top film Prime Minister is Hugh Grant, and he was like, everybody loved him, didn't it? I kind of like somebody that's a little bit like that. But I think to be a good Prime Minister, in some ways people got to think you're pretty great.
Pullman, Independence Day.
Is that? I have not seen that film.
What the hell are you saying? You haven't seen? You lying?
I haven't seen it. I've seen bits of it. They've got to be a good public speaker. They've got to be tactful. Intelligent. They got to be good at debating, a good arguer. Which, I mean, if that's all it was, then a lot of the Corrie women would be, knocking on number 10 right now, demanding a job. A good leader, a good team builder. They got to be confident. They got to be respectful of kind of all beliefs. Keeping those British values and everything. Got to be pretty clever.
Did you just go through this list and make everything the opposite of what Boris Johnson is?
No.
Did you?
I didn't mean to,
really,
but it kind of is looking that way, isn't it?
The only thing he's got going for him is his education, which was bought, like all rich people.
Yeah, well, that's what we're saying. We're saying that our current Prime Minister isn't necessarily the best at the job, so that's
I'm
the
going to counter.
What do you think? Did you agree with these?
I think that a definition of the word good, I think you haven't really laid that out yet, because as far as I can see, there is being a good Prime Minister just means you're the one that ended up with the job.
What do you think, Ben?
We don't. First of all, if you're not familiar with the political system of the country, we don't get to vote for our Prime Minister.
No, we vote for
vote for our local MP, and then the MPs, according to which party they're in, select their leader, or the leader's already been selected before the general election is called, and then whoever's the leader of the party that has the most MPs, the majority in the House, that's the Prime Minister of the country.
Yeah, so it's not like we can go and tick the box next to Alf and say we want Alf Roberts to be our next Prime Minister.
And sometimes what will happen is one party doesn't have enough to make the majority, so they have to sort of go into a coalition with another party, so we have a coalition government, and sometimes what will happen then is the leader of the one with the most seats becomes the Prime Minister, and then the leader of the party with the second number of seats becomes the Deputy Prime Minister, like we had Nick Clegg.
Yes.
But for the Lib Dems.
Yes.
So, but going back to the original point, traits of a good Prime Minister, people that end up as Prime Minister in this country, you've got to be manipulative. You've got to be arrogant.
Okay, so I see what we're doing here.
You've got to be oblivious. Not only for your own mental health, you have to be. It has to be water off a duck's back. How people think, what people think of you, and also the effect that you have on people's lives. You just have to not care. So, right? You also have to be underhanded. You have to be posh. You have to be white. You have to be elitist. And you have to be out of touch. Because if you had any idea how the poorest working class people in this country, the downtrodden ones, the ones that actually are living hand to mouth, going to food banks, being forced to go to prove that they need benefits and they can't get themselves out of the house because they can't work because they're too sick. You have to not know about any of that, and you have to just be like, why can't they stop being poor? And that's really literally your only solution to most problems. That's how you become.
So you're looking at it very cynically, and
I'm looking at it realistically. You're looking at it
idealistically.
You're looking at it like it's a movie. Like we like people are good, and we pick the best of us to lead us.
Yeah, and I think that's how I interpreted the question.
Never how it happens.
I'm thinking of which Corrie character could be a Prime Minister that could rival Winston Churchill in the all-time.
Don't even bring up
Britain's,
Winston Churchill.
Stakes.
Problematic.
I mean, out of those people with the political leanings beforehand, I'm not sure about Alf. I think he was a little bit of a ditherer, and I think that Audrey might be a little bit of a liability as the Prime Minister's wife. I think that Deirdre probably out of all of those people would be the best. She's had her experience as the council, obviously. I think that she is a good debater. I think that she'd be able to...
Who?
Deirdre.
Who are we on now?
Deirdre. I think that I'd like to see her get into a debate with, the leader of the opposition, and I think that she could, take him down a peg or two. She's got the respect of the community. I'm thinking...
Who cares what they think?
I'm thinking more, 80s, 90s Deirdre rather than what she became, which was not
Sitting
so much of a joke as...
scared of sheep.
Yeah, not so much of a joke as Gail is, but if you watch the early to mid life Deirdre, that is a fearsome opposition there, and she was a really, really popular character, and I think that I would like to see her as a Prime Minister maybe. Apart from that, I'm thinking, I suppose Ken could be. I think he might do the job. He's got the education. He can also hold his ground in an argument. He has got history of rallying people around him, like when there was the whole Save the Cobbles in the 40th anniversary. The cat is desperately trying to get out of the door here,
Just
making
pull it
it
again.
very creaky.
Go on.
One more pull, Abby. Come on.
You can do it.
She's just kind of...
She's dithering around.
Yeah, she's having it. Yeah, go on. Open that door.
Go on.
Go on, Abby.
Keep going, you stupid idiot.
No, she's not going. Anyway, yeah, so Ken possibly, although not particularly inspirational because he has got a reputation of being a bit boring. But, you can be boring and still be a good Prime Minister.
They're the best ones, let's face it. Who's the guy that everyone took the mick out of who followed Thatcher?
Don't ask me. Oh,
The
John
grey
Major?
one, yeah. Wasn't he, truly the greatest? Because what did he do? Don't know. Brilliant.
He has got a reputation, I think, as being a little bit...
What was his personality? Boring. That's the best. That's what you want.
Yeah, that was
boring.
That was that classic... wasn't there some spitting image sketches?
Just a grey...
Yeah.
just a grey puppet.
I think that Bet Lynch might make a pretty good Prime Minister because she...
No, she wouldn't, because she's been photographed smoking, which is probably worse than baby murder as far as politics are concerned.
I just think that she's very good at putting on a front. She's very good when there's a crisis. We spoke recently on the Patreon podcast about the fact that she can put a positive spin on everything, and despite whatever crisis is going on, she can put that smile on and exude confidence and control. And I think for a good Prime Minister, you need to be able to do that. Even if things are going haywire, you need to have the respect of the community and people be able to trust you. And I think that Bet is very, very trustworthy. And she has got the look, and she's got
the presence.
The presence. She is a little bit, Thatcher-esque with her, with the shoulder pads and the hair and everything. That's just what you were like in the 80s, I suppose. But and she, as my favourite landlady, probably. Wait and see how Jenny goes. I think that she'd be pretty good. And apart from that, the other one that I had on my list was Yasmin as well. And basically see everything that we said about Yasmin last week, because she's sympathetic. Obviously,
she cares too much.
Cares about
destroy her.
Cares about the community. She really, I can imagine if Yasmin was Prime Minister, she would want what was best for the UK, and she'd be tolerant of all the different races and sexualities and everything. And she can fight for what she believes in, and I would love Yasmin as my Prime Minister. I don't know what any of these are like, how much they know about politics, but as a figurehead for the country, these are some of the people that I would go for. What about you?
I have decided that I think Sally Webster would be quite a good choice, because she's kind of out of touch, isn't she? She doesn't really know what's going on.
Oh yeah, we're going on your cynical.
She really thinks that she's making a difference when she just fannies about and does yoga in prison and thinks that that's somehow helping the poors. She doesn't realise she's a poor herself, which is sad, but being oblivious is on my list.
She can do a good photo opportunity, can't she?
She knows how to make a good promotional video about herself.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that we really like that in this country.
No, we don't too much. I mean, the every party political broadcasts, that's kind of the closest. I can imagine Sally doing one of those.
Waffle. Fred Elliott I think he would be great in negotiations because he would just keep repeating himself and saying, I say...
no deal, I say, no deal.
Yeah, it would be good. I think that would bamboozle people. And I think they just say anything to get him to shut up.
I mean, I think Fred Elliott is the closest character that Corrie's had to looking like a Winston Churchill. I mean, I'm just waiting for John Saverdon to take that role one day.
He's also a bon vivant, which I think is important because he'd live it up and take him out and show him a good time. Like, here's the delegation from Japan, let's go take him out on the town, we'll get drunk on whiskey and talk about women.
Yeah, don't forget, you got to be careful with Fred's diplomacy with France because he did almost cause an international incident
we don't
at that
care
black
about
pudding
France.
contest.
And they would expect nothing else from us. They'd be insulted if we tried to treat them properly. They'd be, what's this? I thought we had a thing together that we hate each other, but we love each other secretly.
Yeah, okay.
We like each other's cheese, but we buy it in secret, and we don't let the other person know. Mike Baldwin.
Oh.
Conniving, out for himself, lines his own pockets, self-interest, 100%.
Yeah.
Picks fights with people, deal. Won't shut up about it. Bit of a nemesis, likes to fight people.
Illegitimate children tucked away.
Yeah. He would be able to take down his political opponents, I think, because he wouldn't play nicey nice with anybody. He would find out your weaknesses and exploit them.
Who was that? He's got his Jags, isn't he? Who was that politician that's...
Two Jags, what's his face?
Yeah.
Damn it, I've forgotten his name.
I mean,
used to roll off my tongue.
Yeah, Mike Baldwin only had one Jag at once, but...
This was the golden era of Labour where, like, they were all, like, working class lads who you would punch in the face if you threw a pie at them. That was the classic Labour.
See, John Prescott and Fred Elliott, I'm sure there's...
Two Jags? I don't remember.
Yeah.
We were kids, so we can be excused.
Yeah, that's our
Claudia... She is posh enough. She probably like, oh, Prime Minister, darling. Yeah, I'll be the Prime Minister if you want. Do I have to be in a coin or something? Okay, fine. The Emperor of Japan, of course I know him. I went to boarding school with his daughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to do a deal with Germany? I own half of it.
I like the sound of that.
She's got great hair.
Yeah. She
looks a bit like the Queen with the hair.
Do you think that she'd be able to command the respect of the country?
She's got the voice. British people have been conditioned over centuries to hear a posho and go, yeah, they must know what they're talking about, I suppose.
I think
I don't agree with them, but they should be in charge.
I think some ardent Labour supporters might be protesting outside Parliament if Claudia got into number 10. How do you know that Claudia
is a Conservative?
Well...
She might be a hippie. She wears lots of loose jackets, is all I'm saying.
I mean, Ken's massively liberal, so maybe he... maybe she is. Maybe she would be as well, because I don't know whether he'd...
I don't know that they've spoken a lot about their political beliefs to each other.
I suppose not.
And I also don't think that either of them would care a jot what the other one thought.
That's true.
Finally, Michelle Connor.
Oh my gosh! How do I emigrate?
Michael, you're a white British person. You become an expat when you leave this country.
I'm off to Canada. Sorry, if Michelle's my Prime Minister.
First of all, that would stop any person in their tracks. Okay. She's got the stare and the foldy arms. She could bring any negotiation to a halt with that. She's not. Also, we've been told time and time again. There's been absolutely no evidence of this at any point in the show. Coronation Street has not done the old show don't tell thing with Michelle, but we've been told incessantly what a brilliant business mind she is and what a great genius she is and how brilliant she is with spreadsheets.
She can turn her hand to anything, can Michelle? We're led to believe. So why not Prime Ministering?
If we get Michelle as the Prime Minister, she will open a franchise of Great Britain in every country in the world. Our what they called embassies will become like little kiosks, and we'll sell shortbread and jam, and make a killing.
I think we've got quite a good few to pick
also,
from, really.
she's got lots of Irish relatives, which is always helpful to kind of ease the tension that we seem to have reignited I don't know what she's like with Scotland.
No, I don't know.
I mean, she's quite north, so perhaps she's got relatives there too. We need to smooth a few paths there as well. Basically, we've just annoyed everybody. Also, well, let's face it, she looks a bit like Trump's type.
Yeah.
If he holds Theresa May's hand, God knows what he'd do with Michelle. But he would definitely kind of...
After the stuff with Ray today, though, I don't think she'd let him.
If it's for the good of the nation, she might.
She only cares about herself. That's the problem with our
Watch out, Melania. Michelle Connor's on the scene. And she's younger than you, is all I'm saying.
I like your answers, I have to say. Mine answers were trying to be serious, but I think yours were a bit more...
I had to do it, didn't I? This is Gemma the Crank.
Yeah.
The rants and bants about politics. How could you say anything else?
So there we go. There's our Prime Minister choices. And moving on to the next question.
Anyone except Boris.
Yeah, basically. Next question. I suppose this one's more tailored towards me, really, but hopefully you got something to say about it. Izzy has asked, if you could choose any past actor or actresses to interview on the podcast, who would they be?
Yes, because if you hadn't noticed, Michael does pretty much most of our...
Yes, you're not a big fan of doing the interviews, are you?
I get incredibly worked up.
Yeah. You get nervous.
I can't stop thinking about it.
Well, you just don't like speaking to people on the telephone, do you?
I hate talking to people on the telephone.
Or anything.
Honestly, this is why I'm not an actual proper journalist.
Yeah, so... This
is why I'm an editor, not a journalist. I get my writers to do all this for me, so I don't have to.
If I've interviewed you and Gemma hasn't been there, please don't feel snubbed.
No, it's because I'm so highly strung.
Yeah.
Chara is my spirit animal.
So thinking about actors that I'd like to interview, past ones that aren't there anymore, I'd kind of need to apply the same sort of rules that I do when I'm, looking for current actors to interview on the show, and I've kind of got a little checklist in my head that I go down. For example, if it's somebody who I think is a particularly private person, I don't go there. So
yeah, and it's not always very obvious.
It's not always very obvious
because they're all professionals and they're all great to their fans. And
yeah, definitely. But there are some actors who want to keep themselves to themselves, which is perfectly fine. So as much as I would be fascinated to have the exclusive Eileen Derbyshire interview.
Okay, yeah, don't say anybody else though. No, because they're private. They don't want to.
Well, it's well known that Eileen Derbyshire doesn't do interviews. If Parky can't get her, I don't think she'd come to me, so I don't even think I'd try that. Whether I like their character is very important as well.
Well, because you want to genuinely engage with them.
Exactly. I don't want to have an interview with someone and ask them all these things about stories which I've got no particular interest in.
And I'm sure people think that we are overly enthusiastic about some of our favourites, but it's genuinely heartfelt, true admiration that we have.
Yeah, and this year we've had people. Sally Carman, Shelley King, Connie Hyde, all play characters I'm a massive fan of. So that's important as well. Although if say there was a big storyline coming up and that I was really interested in, and it wasn't a character that I was top on my list, I'd still maybe. But this isn't about...
you've got to be interesting to us.
And also I think...
Before we ordain to interview
I want them to be interesting with the listership as well. I want somebody that they're going to be interested in.
Yeah.
It needs to be someone who... who's not out of my league, in a way.
Oh, gosh, now you've just insulted everybody who's been on the show.
No, because the people that have been on the show, it's not that... you're all people, or they are all people, some of them are listening, that I think that I can have a nice, cosy, friendly chat with, and I don't feel at all intimidated at speaking to some of you. Now, I know this isn't a past
character. Well, you should do,
but somebody like Jack P. Shepherd, I think David's fantastic, and he ticks all the other boxes that I've said so far. But for me, I think that I might be scared and nervous about having a conversation with Jack P. Shepherd.
I mean, he doesn't even have a Gucci belt. He's got an Hermes belt, which means he's definitely a league above us.
Well,
but he's a fellow podcaster now, so he is. Now he's been brought down.
And I'm sure he's lovely,
hasn't he? By doing his own podcast.
Oh well, of course. I'm sure he's lovely, but in my head, I'm thinking, Jack P. I just don't think
You'd be intimidated like I get.
Yeah, exactly. whether or not I've met the person in real life is obviously a big deciding factor, and most of the people that we've interviewed on the podcast I've had, you know, face-to-face dealings with at some point.
Well, that's how you get your foot
that's
in
just
the
how
door,
you get your
isn't
foot in
it?
the door, exactly.
It's
Networking and all
networking.
that. Somebody who's shown
we can make business cards.
Oh yeah, somebody who's shown interest in the podcast is always good, and by that I mean they've either, you know, tweeted us or whatever, or followed us on Twitter is a good start. But some of these you can't always tell. For example,
don't say people.
Okay, I'm not going to say. Also, it's always good if there's actors that we have got a bit of a relationship with, if they can put in a good word for us. That's quite nice too.
Also think that it's important to point out that we are like an anomaly in that we're the only Quarry podcast that interviews or has interviewed actors, and in general this is not something that normally happens. They go on like Good Morning, whatever it is. They sometimes do radio shows.
They do the soap magazines.
A lot, yeah, but I'm just about to get to that. Quite a lot of the time when they do a soap magazine, it's one of three things. It's a press day. It's a canned interview that's already been done, which is written down and just blurbed out, or it's done via telephone in the media suite that they've got there. So going up to people and saying, "Can I please interview you?" They're not really used to this. It's kind of unprecedented. Well, it is unprecedented because this is a fan thing that we do.
And everybody who's been on the podcast has been very nice to give some of their time to be on something
really,
that
it's a massive,
not part of their job.
It's not part of their job, and it's a bit of a risk because they're putting their reputation and they're putting themselves in our hands, and if they don't know who we are and they have no reason to believe that we're anything other than just two people who want to interview them. And I mean, even we have come across people who ask, "Can I interview you for my radio show?" which doesn't actually exist because I haven't got one, or you know what I mean, like. You can spend a lot of time on somebody who ultimately is just wants to talk to a celebrity, which is not really what you want to spend your spare time doing. I think the fact that we've got a
couple of interviews and things under our belts now gives us some.
I know, but what my point, I'm trying to make a point, you know, that it's a big leap of faith in us that people are willing to go on this show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we're always grateful.
Definitely.
And we definitely
never take it for granted.
Never take it for granted, never expect, and never are disappointed if somebody says no, because there are so many reasons they wouldn't, you know. Yeah,
definitely. So
it really is a genuine privilege to be able to share them in interviews with everybody, and I know how much people really love listening to when you do them, because you're really good.
Oh, thanks. I was having a think, and I've come up with quite a long list, and some of them I'd be more like, I want to speak to that person one day. I think I'd really, really, really like to get Julia Hesman-Halk on the podcast. I think Halsh, sorry.
Well, you won't ever get her.
Not going to happen now, is it?
Unless you call her Jezza Hezza.
Yeah. She seems absolutely lovely. I've heard her on other podcasts.
She seems down to earth.
She seems very down to earth and intelligent,
our sort of
passionate about what she likes and believes in.
Yeah, that's good.
She's Hayley, such an iconic Corrie character. Yeah. I loved her. I think that the
Millions
listeners
agree.
would be fascinated to have a chat with her. I know that she is good friends with somebody who I have interviewed before in the past. It's
not me.
It's not you. One of these days, I'm going to risk it. She doesn't follow us on Twitter, but one of these days, I think I'm going to try and get the Hez on the podcast, and I'll probably fall flat on my face for doing it, but I think she would be my number one.
If you don't reach for the stars, you'll never land on the moon.
I know. I mean, I've got quite a few names on the list.
Well, it was said alive or dead. As long as they're not in the show currently.
I don't think it said alive or dead, but I told you alive
told
or
me
dead.
It was alive or dead.
Yeah, I'm going with some dead ones as well. For example, I'd love to have. It's difficult because I'd like to have a chat with Jean Alexander while she was still alive, because Hilda's such a Corrie icon.
When you say the name of the actor, or actress, can you say the character as well?
Yeah, just in case you don't know who Jean Alexander is. Such an icon. I could see myself having a friendly chat with her. But I don't know what Jean Alexander was like in real life. I can only go by what people say. And I know that in her later years, she didn't like Coronation Street. And that...
So I don't think she'd like our podcast.
I don't know whether she would even... No, well, she wouldn't sit and listen to a podcast, obviously. But she seems... No, I think I can just imagine her being a kind of a nice old lady that would like to reminisce about the good times. I wouldn't be asking her about, so what do you think about Coronation Street now? But Coronation Street was such a big part of her life, and she was so fond of it. I don't know, I could kind of see that going down well. Maggie Jones would be great, although I don't know whether who played Blanche. I don't think I'd be able to keep up with her wit.
You are assuming that she's anything like her character.
Yes, yeah.
I have actually never heard anything, this is quite strange, about what she was like as an actress, what she was like with her colleagues, any anecdotes about her, or her talking about her character. I've never seen any of that.
I can't remember whether I have or not. I think
I've heard people going, Blanche was brilliant. It wasn't Maggie Jones great at being Blanche, but other than that, I've not heard anything about her. She could have been an absolute cow.
I'm looking at my names now because I wrote this list a few days ago, and even some of these, I think some of the, like Sarah Lancashire.
Oh yeah, she would be amazing.
She would be amazing because she's such a, she seems to be such a sharp woman.
On my list.
She's intelligent. She plays a character that I have got massive fondness for.
Well, we know that.
I think she said that I'd never come back to Coronation Street now, but I think that it's obviously a big part of her life, and it's what made her. It was her, stepping stone into acting. She's still got other current projects on. That's another thing that I think I'd be considering if I was trying to get a past actor to come on the podcast. Are they doing something? Have they got other projects on the go at the moment that I can ask them about? Because I wouldn't want to feel that I was stealing them away just to talk about Coronation Street and stuff what they're doing at the moment. So I'd be asking Sarah Lancashire about
are they doing another Happy Valley?
They're doing series. What series are they doing? Series 3 of Happy Valley. Are you gonna come back soon?
That's so great.
I'd love to speak to her, but
would she want to speak to you, especially given the awkward history now? She knows you used to have a keyring of her.
Julie Goodyear would be amazing, and Kurt Bride would have been fantastic to speak to.
I know.
She seems like everybody always had such good things to say about Annie. So lovely and warm. I'm trying to think of I was thinking of some other people that are still in the public eye, and somebody like Amanda Barry, Birthday Girl, who played Alma would be a good one because she's a real iconic character, and I'm seeing her at a prime and classic Coronation Street.
We can also get
moment.
to her through her cousin.
Well, yes, quite. I can't remember whether... No, Amanda Barry doesn't follow us on Twitter. Sherry... some of them do. I think Sherry Houston might do, who played Maureen.
Wow, I'm embarrassed now.
I'm loving Maureen on classic Coronation Street at the moment, so that might be quite a fun chat, because from when I've seen her on Loose Women or other interviews or anything, she seems like a real good laugh, and I'm sure she's got some quite funny anecdotes about her time in Coronation Street. Brian Capron might be good.
He's on my list.
Is he?
I just think he'd be a great laugh. He always seems to be a good sport about his time on the street.
He did the interview circuit for to the max when it was the Richard Hillman saga. He got his black glove out,
props.
and I know it wouldn't work in the podcast medium unless you can kind of hear the squeak as he pulls it on and off. But he might be a good one. Craig Charles, I'd love to speak to, and I have met Craig Charles a couple of times in real life. Not that was going to count for anything, because I don't think he'd remember me. But I did like Lloyd, and I think the fact that I was such a big Red Dwarf fan as well, I'd be able to kind of geek out and talk to him a little about that as well.
No, you need to be into Northern Soul, otherwise he's not interested.
I know, Vicky Entwistle, another upcoming birthday girl, love to speak to her. I've written down here Dawn Acton as well, who was the Tracy Barlow before this one. I think I thought of her because she was interviewed on, was it Lorraine a month or two ago, and I think that would be an interesting one just to talk to her about.
What was she interviewed about?
I can't remember why she was on. It was just it was just a life after Corrie kind of thing. And
she's like, yes, I'm still alive. Thank you for your interest.
And I think that might be just a bit of a different
die when you're not in it.
Angela Griffin would be a good one at the moment as well. But I think she's a little bit busy at the moment.
Did you get to pick your own pyjamas when you were in that scene, or did they give them to you?
But, you know, I think, past Coronation Street actors is not a thing that we've done for interviews so far.
Coronation Street?
I don't think we've interviewed anybody who's, you know, not in the show anymore. We've interviewed people as they exit, like when George was on the show last year. That was after his stint.
Why?
And, you know, hashtag bring back Henry and everything. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll try and, you know, get in there with some older previous actors as well. So who did
I've made a very short list because this would be me.
My list is a bit long. I mean, I got the Hez at number 1 and everyone else after that.
Sorry, everyone else. I've got the Golden Trio. Catherine Kelly, Saran Jones, and Sarah Lancashire.
Oh yeah.
Just because we could be like,
Catherine Kelly might be a good one.
Why don't you come back? Why did you leave?
See, I was thinking with some of those, that those are ones, even though I said Sarah Lancashire on my list, they were kind of, I put them as, you know, above, you know, out of my reach.
They're
almost.
Corrie royalty.
Yeah.
And you just interviewed Corrie peasants so far.
No.
Awkward.
I've
That's
got
not what you're saying, obviously.
The
also,
Dukes and Duchesses of Coronation Street.
Dukes and Duchesses is pretty high.
Oh, exactly.
And also, a few Prince and Princesses of Wales we've had. Always in our hearts. Helen Flanagan is the other one that I had on here because...
she's not a past character.
I don't think that she would come on the show.
She would. I'm sure
as long as nobody played it to her. and then she can set the record straight about what she actually sounds like in real life. I don't think it's what you think she sounds like.
I know. Anyone else?
That's it. No, that's it.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, you know, maybe one of these days it'll happen. I just need to, you know, maybe that needs to be a New Year's resolution for me for 2020.
We try really hard to get as many interviews as we can.
Oh, yeah, we do.
And if we're not interviewing someone you really like, who is your favourite one ever, and you're really mad that we haven't interviewed them, just realise that it's not... The people are only doing this because they're being really friendly and giving and generously giving their time to us specifically, and they're not. It's not like don't want to give back to the fan base or anything like that.
No,
it's just that they.
I never make any assumptions.
This is an unusual format.
Yes.
Even though podcasts have been around for a long time, they're still pretty new.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've only been going for 7 years, and Corrie's been going for like...
A little bit longer.
A bit longer than that.
Yeah, see, you know what? With its 60th anniversary next year, maybe that is the time to try and get some past actors from, you know, the 60...
And also, I mean, you can
Corrie.
say, oh, well, you know, listen to the podcast or whatever, if you want to find out what the podcast is about. It's a big commitment. You guys all know how long it takes you to listen to an episode. And we can be irreverent, and it's not how everyone's style, you know? It's not what everyone wants or likes.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that answers those questions, doesn't it? Thank you to Navdeep and Izzy for sending those questions in. And again, thank you everyone else for all your questions. We will get round to them eventually.
We like questions.
Next month or something. But if anyone has got any other questions, do send them in. We'll add them to the list.
Why don't you shut up?
And if you've got any suggestions for Corrie Prime Ministers or past actors or actresses that you'd love to see have an interview spot on Conversation Street, let us know.
Yeah.